I'd like to start with actually talking just a little bit about my normal day job, so you know who I am. So I work in Vattenfall in a role called Head of Group Financial Systems. That means I sit on the business side, or I sit in the staff function of Group Finance, and I'm responsible for our IT demand. And I'm responsible for the IT budget, the project portfolio of IT, and the application portfolio. So I'm sitting on the business side, putting demands on in Vattenfall, where we have IT supply supporting us. So working in this on group, it means I'm responsible for the systems in Vattenfall and these projects around the CFO processes. So typically how we close our book, how we do our annual reporting, how we do our planning and performance management, and how we do procurement. Those are my main areas, so to speak. Now, what I would like to do now, as an intro to this conference, is actually sharing with you what I have sort of distilled down over the last couple of years in this area of analytics and BI. I have a background more in sales and marketing. So I've started looking at customer journeys and how to digitize the customer journey before I moved into the finance area. And there's a couple of things that I would like to share with you that basically I think is the core of why all of you guys who are here today are very clever people. This is a good conference. This is a good topic to be on. And I hope I can highlight this. So I hope this introduction then will help us, think about how to make the most out of all the speakers to come today. Let's talk about this as a first statement. This is a wake-up call. When someone is telling you in your industry, which is basically seen as an asset-based industry, that by 2020, the most valuable utilities will not have any assets. How the hell can you say that? It's crazy. Well, the analyst at Gartner who looked at this basically made a white paper and analyzed what has happened in other industries when someone is disrupting this industry. So very simply put, taking the examples of Uber, taking the example of Airbnb and applying it to the utility industry. So basically what happens when someone doesn't have any assets? They don't own the cars, they don't own they don't create the content, etc., etc. Now what they do, and what this digital disruption, the way it's been presented and discussed over and over in different conferences, is about managing your information as a strategic asset. Basically trying to understand the digital value chain. Where do I get my information from? How do I package it, combine it to make a new service, make new insights, and how do I sell that? So what happens when your core raw material is the data and the information, how you package is what you sell? That's an interesting topic. Now, what I would like to do is to take you into how I sort of try to wrap my head around what this is actually all about at the core mechanics of digitalization. So I'm highlighting then what I refer to as the digital value chain. Now, the way I've looked at this and thought about this is actually starting with this typically, you can Google it and find it, the basic topic of the intelligence pyramid. You go from data, some sort of unstructured data, structured data, internal data, external data. You combine this to make from data into meaningful information. Then you analyze this data to try to draw conclusions and insights. And then you want to act on those insights. So this is the basic intelligence pyramid. This is what CIA is all about. This is what NSA is all about. This is what the basic foundation of BI is all about. Now, what happens when we take this and truly systemize this? Now, so we translate this into what I refer to as a digital value chain. We start with the data, you have data somewhere, you have sources of data in different kinds. You want to combine this data. You want to utilize analytics, get insights, But you don't want to stop with the insight. You want to translate that insight into business rules. You want to make that systemized as business rule engines that you then apply to the decisions and actions you want to make in a systemized, automated way. So, not rocket science in a way, but ultimately what a lot of this is all about. So if I take this digital value chain, and then I continue this journey, and then I add this, the fundamental topic, why do we digitize? What is digitalization all about? What is innovation all about? And then you can read it in McKinsey, Accenture, all the consultancies. They will sort of boil it down to 3 fundamentals. Where's the business case? They start a lot of times, it's about the customer experience. That's where we've seen it first, to digitize how we interact with the customer, e-business, etc., etc. Then we have the middle part, the new business model. This is your Uber. This is the guys who basically disrupt the old value chain with the new value chain. But if I go to a company like Vattenfall, the biggest business case is how I can, make my big asset business more efficient. If I run nuclear plants, how do I make my supply chain more efficient? How do I make my maintenance more predictive and more efficient? So we run nuclear power plants, hydro plants, we have wind parks. So let me give you an example. What if I say I want to think about my wind park and I want to steer my wind park in a market optimized way? I want to maintain and have the down periods in my wind parks when the prices on the energy market are low. So what ultimately this is boiling down to is that this fundamental value chain, this core topic, is everywhere. Then it becomes interesting, how do we organize that? How do we set that up? Is it one value chain for the customer, another value chain for the assets, etc., etc.? And this sort of turning this triangle, the pyramid upside down, is basically a core topic here that a lot of the business cases, even if they are vastly different, the use cases here from customer to new business models, to some degree they rest on the same data. And the rest of the topic that we are trying to build a context around the data. So I'll take an example. If I go into sales, and I want all my, I really go into internet analytics. I'm really trying to understand, what my customers are doing. This is great. I'm getting more and more efficient, how many clicks I manage and all this. But when it's really, really getting interesting, is when I combine that data with who is actually my customers. Who is actually my profitable customers. So then all of a sudden I need the context of my contracts. I need the context of how much energy they are buying actually or using from Nord Pool. Data that is then of course used from another use case, when you run the commodity and the trading as an example. But all of a sudden, putting it in a context makes it interesting. Makes it really, really interesting. Another example, if you want to talk about energy efficiency in a house, you build a smart house, you build meters everywhere so you can control the internal environment in a location like this. Take this example. So I have all the sensors in there. Is it smart? Will it be smart? Well, not until I add the context of who is in the building, how they are using it, when the peak times are up and the peak times are down, how many is in the location and how they are moving, and apply that together with the fundamental sensor data or how we want to steer it, it becomes really smart. So this is tricky. How do we then organize when this digital value chain is everywhere and you want to find these contextual bridges? Hands up everyone here who works in what they would call an enterprise. You can have your own definition if you like. My definition would be maybe more than one business unit data in silos, a legacy of systems. Trying to combine data is a nightmare. All right. Now, bringing this back now to this conference, what I can see here now is like, in order to really stay ahead and be relevant, you really need to master two things. You need to master the data value chain. You need to figure out how that should be set up and how that would work for you. In a small company, in a big company, as a digital native, when everything is already online, or when you have Vattenfall, Tech IT, data, SCADA data from the wind parks, Tech IT, together with ERP data, together with customer data, together with market data, together with wind data, weather data. So the core topic here, number one, this value chain, to really, really understand and wrap your head around how that would work. Now, the second topic is innovation, of course. And not only innovation, but innovation with data. So what does it mean to be innovative? You know, I remember in my old life, I was a consultant. I worked with Ericsson, and I worked, you know, certifying and training their product managers in their product lifecycle management process, from innovation to end of life. So here the basics topic start of, you know, what is innovation? What is an opportunity to Ericsson? Very simply put, anything that can, you know, improve the bottom line, maybe. That's how they put it. So it could be from process efficiencies to customer efficiencies, you know, to completely new business model, new value pools, new ways to make money. But the point is this, to innovate with data, yeah? Then you need to think about what sort of competencies that starts working together. Now, this is the fundament for how this whole conference is organized. We have a main stage here where the focus will be on innovation. The focus will be on the why. Why do we need the value chain? What are we going to use it for? And it's going to be a focus on who. Now, how to organize this, who are the people, what are the cross-functional teams all about, etc. The data stage is about getting deeper and deeper in understanding this digital value chain. Now, so if you go to the data stage, I really want you to think carefully when you're there, where are we in this digital stack now? When I listen to Horton, what's he really talking about? Is he an IoT guy? Is he a sensor guy? No, I don't think so. They're more of the data assembly, how to combine and make the data happening. Are they analytics guy? Not really. Then we need to talk to someone else, maybe SAS Institute. What about visualization, UX, the user experience? So it's all these different technologies now that basically are the new suppliers to this value chain. So is this a big deal or not? All this, is this a big deal? I think this is a huge deal, and I think we have only scratched the surface. I think what is happening now, if you truly try to understand the digital value chain, is the same level of disruption as when you go for a farming community into the Industrial Revolution. So I want you to do one thing together with me right now. I want you to do it like this. Close your eyes. Close your eyes for 1 second. Imagine you're a farm boy or a farm girl, and you are walking from the farm. You're leaving the farm. You had enough. You can't, you're starving. So you're saying, this is about 100 years ago. You're used to your horses. You're used to what you produce, what your value chain is at the farm. You go to the factory. You go to the city. Now, take that mindset with you here today. First time going into a factory, even if you work on this all day, even if you're really proficient on this, be curious today. Take it back to basically, how do I experience this whole new environment? I think it's this big of a deal to really try to wrap your head around what it truly means when your digital value chain becomes a core part of what you do. Regardless if it's a complement to your physical value chain or your normal value chain, or it's fundamentally disruptive. So, second pointer. One of the key things, and in each of these topics, it's a speech for 45 minutes to a couple of hours on its own. But what I explore you to do is to think carefully about some different types of topics. See how they fit in. Basically to try to, make this ecosystem, come together for you. So let's start thinking about what is your analytics and value chain purpose? Where you stand right now. What is it all about? Is it the customer? Is it disruptive? Is it efficiency? One way of looking at it. From a BI and analytics point of view, are you into better describing what happened? Standard BI. Is this what this is most important to get the figures right? Or are we moving on into some sort of more exploratory analytics? Are we here to try to predict the future? Still you're only modeling. Or are we actually here to operationalize analytics? Taking predictive models into how I run a nuclear power plant in a safe way, but cheaper and more efficient. So this is one topic. What's the purpose? Why are you here? What are you trying to achieve with your business? Second topic. Depending on what purpose you have, the process will be very different. How does the processes to set this up work when you have it, when you're trying to do actuals in a very good way? It's all about quality data, one source of the truth, master data management. It starts with the basics. It's already here. Moving into exploratory, now we start thinking about, how do I innovate? How do I explore things with data? How do I test without making a huge investment? How do I become more agile with my data? This is a big challenge with Vattenfall. Vattenfall use waterfall project leadership principle. Funny. Yeah? No, we need to be agile. Oh, I want to explore to build this report now. It will take you 6 months and it will cost you 5 million euro. No, I just want to load the data up into Click so I can look at it. We don't do that. That's against our integration policies. Bimodalize. This needs to change. We need to be able to do both. Then if you take it one step further, I have explored, I found a business case really cheap, I have failed on a couple, I discarded them. Now I have something I want to operationalize in my nuclear power plant. Now it's back to waterfall again. Now you need to be robust again. So it's this when to be robust, when to be agile. It's not to say everything is agile. It's not that simple. Not for me anyway. Not for me. When you automate, when you build business rules, it's a different story than when you sort of explore. Yeah, I can go on here, but I will actually just leave these notes like it are today. And basically my key topic is be really curious. My job here, together with the speakers, is to excite, is to engage, is to share knowledge. And I hope this is the start of a great network. I really want to learn from all of you guys. These are hard things to wrap your head around. And we're in the starting point of this journey.